go about capturing the most important thing in that herb, and it's actually the essential oil. Now, it's called an essential oil, but it's not even an oil, it's more like a spirit. It just evaporates very easily. It's hard to capture, okay? And each herb has different oils, but because they come from the same family, there's some stronger than others or got higher levels than others. Now, so what do? We've done a lot of research and we think that Gourmet Garden's the best. Now, it comes from a recipe or a formulation that was developed by two old guys who have developed loads of things like, I think they do even wheats and grains and wheat bix and all these sort of fancy things. And I went down to their office in Sydney once and they had a library. But people usually have books in their library. They didn't. They had a wall of the things that they developed over their career. Now, they were about 70 at the time, so they'd done a lot. But they got a bit bored, and because they've got inventive minds, they actually had some herbs growing in the back garden, and they made a formulation from it, and etc., etc. But it's quite difficult to work out. You can make a formulation in a lab, but it's different once you get into the field. So we developed systems for each herb. And originally we were growing conventionally, but we decided as well to go organic, so now the herbs are organic. Seasons, when we harvest the herbs. And that's when the herbs are in peak freshness, peak oil flavour. But we also have time of day when we harvest them. So we will actually say that the basil season runs from the 1st of November to December, just before Christmas. Now, we plant on the 1st of September, and then we just harvest. Okay, so I'll give you another example. Coriander. We had a lot of problems capturing the flavour of coriander. And you look at the research and you do all these things. And then we sort of work out, well, coriander's a different family, and it's actually a tap-rooted crop. Okay, now with the climate in Queensland, we grow temperate crops in the winter and tropical or Mediterranean crops in the summer. So because it's a tap-rooted crop, we discovered that the oils, just basically because it's cold at night, go back down into the root. So coriander we harvest between 11 o'clock and 2 o'clock in the day. So how did we know? We actually checked the essential oil, and we found that with coriander, basically during the day with the sun, the oils come up from the root into the leaves. But it's not the same with parsley, but not the same with basil. The oils stay up in the leaf with basil, and you've got the little oil glands, and as the basil grows, they fill up. So there's all different things. It's very interesting. So we are very particular about the time of day we harvest. But what we basically do is we harvest that day, day one, we truck at night, and we process day two. For the simple reason that these plants are still living. And so if you get a plant in the supermarket, not out of your garden, but in the supermarket, it's stopped growing, it's stopped living. So we actually put the living herb into the tube, literally. So you keep the essential oils, you keep the freshness in the tube. And we use some really old preservation methods with some new technology. So sugars and salts, basically all sugars and salts, but some new technology like freezers and things like that. So that's how we capture the freshness.
Ladies and gentlemen, while you're dining and enjoying, Jane and myself are just going to run through just some of the key Gourmet Garden herbs that we used today, just to give you a little bit more information within regards to some interesting and funny historical facts about these herbs. And Jane is also going to go through the cultivation and a few little growing tips within regards to the manufacture and I suppose the way Gourmet Garden gathers their herbs, which are all really grown locally, aren't they?
Yeah, almost
all of them.
Rosemary and Victoria.
Rosemary and Victoria, but you know the rest of them are all grown locally, which is fantastic, and why I love using Gourmet Garden. Basically, I did do a little bit of research last night, and I found some fantastic little tidbits on the history of a variety of herbs. So we're going to start with dill. Dill actually originated in South America about 3000 BC, very popular for medicinal properties and promotes digestion. So this will all go down really nice and smoothly. So some of you no need to worry. It's actually derived from an old Norse word meaning dilla, to soothe, calm or lull, and considered to be a sign of luck by the Romans and a sign of wealth by the Greeks. And there's also any of you that have any wild demons lurking around your house, hang some dill, because it actually wards off evil spirits in witchcraft. So that's a little bit of information. Jane.
And just a little bit. And for those that want to look at putting dill in their diet, particularly nursing mothers, because what happens to babies? They get wind or colic. So nursing mothers should have dill.
Again, for that that's calming and soothing of the stomach.
The stomach and that.
Very good idea.
And it's full of vitamins A, B, C, and then minerals like potassium, calcium, you name it. But the beauty about it, and I'll talk about at the end, is you can mix and match a lot of these herbs, because dill and parsley and coriander are all the same family. So
fantastic.
Yeah,
so anything that kind of goes with dill. So dill, again, we love using with potato salad, sour cream. It goes fabulous with fish, salmon, great with eggs, so in your frittata. So any sort of light dishes, you want to put dill in right at the end. So even like for omelettes, you can scatter across a little bit of dill. If you're doing a soup like we did with the pumpkin porcini, we just squeezed a little bit of the dill in right before we blended it. So it still keeps that and retains that beautiful fresh flavour. Another couple of little tip, that it's infused with wine. It actually enhances passion. If anyone's feeling a little low on the romantic side, grab some dill and pop it into mix it in with the wine and let that steep. Now, harder style of herbs, ideally, we like to use in sort of slow cooking. So your oregano, your thymes, your rosemary are fantastic putting in casseroles, slow cooked dishes, but also fabulous as marinades. So particularly with the Moroccan chicken that we've done today, we use a little bit of oregano. We do also have the like parsley, some of your lighter herbs, but we could have added in some of the rosemary. So anything that marinates and then either barbecued or roasted, some of your hard herbs can be used in that as well. Thyme, fabulous with pork, chicken, stuffings, breads, vegetables, tomato, lamb. So really it's a great all-rounder, and you can put thyme in soups. Thyme comes from the Greek word of thymos, which means the spirit of smoke. It actually gives valour and vigour, and the Roman soldiers used to bathe in thyme before they went to battle. The knights moving into the medieval times had their women embroider thyme sort of flowers onto their scarves to give them great strength when they went into battle, and also promotes bravery. And the Egyptians used to use it as an antiseptic and actually used it in their mummification process. So a lot of the herbs are really ancient herbs and have been used, as Jane sort of mentioned, their medicinal properties have been used throughout the years for a variety of either medicinal or slightly superstitious properties as well. Beautiful. Now, speaking of mint, mint is cultivated in Europe originally and is a symbol of hospitality. So it was actually strewn throughout the houses to welcome in the guests. It's also derived from the Latin word mentha, and this is a really good story. I was telling this to Belinda and Megan earlier on, that Pluto's wife, Proserpina, cast a spell on a lady who turned Pluto's eye, and she actually turned the woman into a mint plant. So, which I thought was quite interesting. Now, the Romans flavoured their wines and sauces with mint. So mint is beautiful. As we all know, mint goes really well, not only in fruit salads, in juices and drinks and those sorts of things, but also great with lamb, chocolate, fish, potatoes, pork, sugar cream, a lot of Asian dishes. So great big handfuls of mint or a big squeeze of mint into your Asian dressings if you're going to be doing a salad or marinades. The mint with the Gourmet Garden I've been using in desserts, and whether it be squeezed over a fruit salad. I've been making cakes, chocolate mint cakes, pineapple and mint frappes and all those sorts of things. So it's got a really beautiful flavour that lends itself again to a lot of different cooking. Mint also has, it imparts both a cooling and warming sensation, and also goes with cucumber, vegetable, eggplant, tomatoes, pumpkin and prawns. Just talking about getting back to the basil. Basil is actually native to India and was used to swear oaths in court. So it's very, very highly regarded, basil. In Italy, of course, it symbolises love. Everything in Italy symbolises love. And the suitors courted their lover with a sprig of basil in their hair. I might try that when I go over. Mexico, they carried it around in hope of catching their lover's eye. It's found growing in Christ's tomb as well, and kept around church altars. Some cultures it symbolises hatred, and associated with scorpions, as they believe that the scorpions kind of hid underneath the pots, and if they smelt the basil, then the scorpion would grow in their brain. So a little left of centre. Basil, fabulous. I mean, it pretty much almost goes with anything. So, you know, strawberries, eggplant cream, capsicums, pork, duck, tomatoes, pasta. I mean, whatever you can think of. Basil is, and the various like Thai basil and your Vietnamese basil and sweet basil and Greek basil. So there's a whole range that blend really well with different foods. Some are stronger. Your sweet basil, which is the one that Gourmet Garden does, does have that beautiful basil flavour, great for pastas, and you can actually add it into the beginning. So a lot of people think, oh, soft herbs, I'll just add them at the end, but most of the Italian sauces, particularly just your basic Italian sauces, they do throw the basil in at the beginning when they've got their tomatoes in, and they kind of just let it simmer, and it just almost just gets absorbed into the sauce, so it imparts just that really beautiful soft basil flavour. Lovely.
Okay.
I think that's about it. Yeah.